What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Games Podcast. I'm Amber P.
I'm Alexis Adams.
For today's episode, this might ruffle little feathers. We're not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. Just bear with us, okay? Have an open mind and an open heart. Turning pro versus being a competitor. But first, can we get into, if you're watching, let's take a moment and get into Alexis's curls. I'm upset.
I can't keep my glasses on though. They keep pulling my hair out.
I love this for you. I don't think you understand how excited I am. Yes.
But you can see where it goes away. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
down
Yeah.
here is like you straightened me for like 10 years.
Yeah. So the bonds are broken. You can break the bonds of the hair a couple of ways, chemical wise, coloring, or through heat. Alexis is through heat. However, we gonna work around that. So I'm just proud of all the growth and how she is embracing the curls. Outside of the curls, how's everything going? What's new?
Mm, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nope.
Yep, same. I got nothing. Still out here, off season. I got it. Well, I check in this week, and I'm gonna see what we gonna do. The Arnold. We leave for the Arnold on Thursday, so that's exciting.
Yes. I work tomorrow. Today, what? We're recording on Monday. I work tomorrow, Tuesday. Wednesday, I have a bunch of stuff, body work. I need to clean. Somebody's going to be sleeping in this room. I need to clean the other room. Olivia and Amber are coming Wednesday, so we can leave Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're going to vlog, and then it'll be busy because it's a show weekend.
Oh yeah. First show of the season. I'm excited. It's so funny because like January, I was just like dragging. I couldn't get with it. February came and probably mid-February was when I was getting the itch. Like, okay, I'm ready for some like just let's get on with it. Let's get the show stuff going. And then probably last week is when it hit and I was like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. So I'm super excited. If you see us, please come say hi to us. Don't be weird. Don't stand from a distance and point. Come say hi. We will say hi. We will take pictures. We will do whatever you want within reason, of course. Okay.
Yeah. One year, someone asked me to do a calf flex with him, and I think that's gonna be my like no
Yeah.
line. We're
Yeah.
not doing feet picks. We're
Mm.
not doing weird flexes. We can flex quads. That makes sense. But nothing weird. But come say
Yeah.
hi. Regular picks are fine.
Now watch. Everyone's gonna say Alexis. Let's do. Let me see your calves. Just
I'm like, go
because.
away.
All right, y'all. So, turning pro versus being a competitor. You probably saw this title and you're thinking, well, what does that mean? Basically, what Alexis and I are saying is obviously if you are competing, regardless if you have a pro card or not, you are a competitor. But what we're talking about is being a high level competitor. There is a difference between people who compete just get the pro card. And then there are different people who compete, get the pro card, and are doing this at a high level. First of all, I'll say this it is okay if the pro card is your only goal and you do not want to compete at a high level. The reason how Alexis got this idea, and I agree with her because there are some pros out there, and it's very obvious that they are pros, but they're not true competitors. And you can just tell by the lifestyle or just by some of the things that they say or how they act. And to me personally, I feel that those people are doing new athletes, amateurs a disservice. I personally feel.
And I think it's just important for especially upcoming amateurs to be aware of who you're following. And there's a
Hmm.
difference between all kinds of athletes. There's a difference, and I think it's important to find what and be able to identify what aligns with what your goals are. So if your goals are to compete high in the amateur level in the NPC, earn your pro card, and then go on to be a competitive pro, you need to get an idea of what that's like and create your following around a good impact of people who um exemplify that. I can't find my words today.
That's okay.
Um so not everyone who earns their pro card wants to or is competing at a high level.
Hmm.
Um the majority of those who do earn a pro card are genetically inclined. So you're in the pool with all the genetically elite people. Like there's a subset, there's the whole world, and then there's the people who compete that's like 10% of the rest of
Hmm.
everybody. And then like 1% of them have the genetics to do more than the average competitor. Um, and some people, especially this tends to be the people who earn their cards quickly, like two show pros, usually a genetic inclination there. Not to say that they didn't
Hmm.
work hard, not to say that they didn't train for years before even getting on stage, because most of them did. Um, but there's a level of discipline that comes with having competed for a while and going through that process, not just lifting weights and learning how to grow muscle, but then also going through the leaning process, which we've talked about before. So I think it's just important to be aware that like everyone's not the same and everyone lives their lives differently, but competitive pros tend to live their lives very similarly to each other. They have
Hmm.
differences, of course. Some people have like clock in jobs, some people have stay at home jobs. The majority are working in some aspect. Um, but within what it takes to be a competitor, the eating, the sleeping, the recovery, the training is the same. The same amount of effort and the same amount of consistency goes in it for the majority, to be at that high caliber. And if someone looks like or claims to be just breezing by, they are either lying or they are breezing by, but it's not getting them anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I think I should probably change this to turning pro versus being a competitive pro, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think that's the level that we're talking. And even like,
Yeah.
I mean, even you don't even have to be a pro to act like a pro.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, most competitors who turn pro, all it's not like you're turning pro and then you're like, now I need to learn to be a pro. You already
Right.
learned it, and that's why you were rewarded that way.
And I was getting ready to say at the end of last year, I did a video on my YouTube channel called Pro Body, but an amateur mindset. And that reigns true. Some of you are probably like, well, what are you talking about? I guarantee that a lot of you that are already listening to this, you already have a pro mindset. You're just waiting for the body to come along. And I find people who fall into those categories tend to be the best competitors. They tend to be the best pros because if you can get your mind in check, if you are already operating as a pro before you even get the pro card, that right there is going to set you apart because I've seen it. I've come in contact with so many pros where you see their bodies and then they open up their mouth and speak, and you're like, what the heck was that?
And it's just like that, and it's not like they're not dumb, but
Mm.
it's the way that they approach life is just different, and that there is a level of approach in how you handle yourself day in and day out that sets the competitive pro above the rest.
Yeah. And
And
even,
some people don't want to do that because that's where a lot of the
yeah,
sacrifice comes in. And it's ever evolving, and your life revolves around bodybuilding. And then there's the other things.
yeah. And even with that, just the pro maturity that you have, handling yourself when you get off stage and maybe you didn't get the placing that you want. I mean, we've all seen it. We've seen some pros. that are competing and they have a sour face on stage. Like, to me, like, that's like, how can you call yourself a top competitor and you can't even maintain your composure on stage? Because that comes with it. We are literally signing up for people to judge our bodies. And yeah, it sucks, but to throw a fit or be rude to other athletes or talk trash about judges or coaches, like, that's not, to me, that's not top pro quality.
Yeah. So like, how do you want to take this?
Well, no, I was going to say, if you do want to compete and be a competitor, be a top pro competitor, you need to understand what that means. And I don't think some people understand that. So they say, oh, yeah, I want to be a pro. And they get the pro card and they say, oh, I want to become top level pro. But they don't quite understand what comes along with that. It's kind of like, you like the idea of how something sounds, but you don't realize, like you said, like, the rest in recovery, for instance, is like, yeah, my life has been a little bit tricky. Things haven't been on point, but I'm still doing what I need as far as making sure I get an ample amount of sleep, because I know that is key for me when it comes time to prep. If I don't have that on point, if I'm not rested, if I'm not recovered, nothing's going to happen. And so people think that with off season, you just switch it off. You can't switch it off. Like, you're a good example of that. There's no on and off switch. It's either we're just dieting or we're not dieting.
Yeah, dieting in the lose fat sense. There's
Excuse
always a
me.
meal
Yes.
plan.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so especially, so here's what my life looks like in prep or off season. I have X amount of cardio for the week. I have 6 meals a day. I have in the off season a free meal. In prep, no free meal unless it's like prescribed that week. Um, and even when I like at the beginning of this prep, you guys know from the last episode, I had my free meal was left in the initial stages. It still was a prep free meal. It wasn't just like what I want to have tonight. There's no
Right.
pizza in prep, or there shouldn't be.
No.
If your coach is letting you have pizza, that's sketchy.
Yeah.
Um, in your prep at least, because like at that point, it's just there's a significant purpose for that extra food, not because you just want to taste it. Um, so I have those things. I have a step count, prep or off season. I have my training days, especially in the off season. I'm doing them, and I'm doing them 100% full out every time. I'm literally saying 100% full out every time.
Mhm.
I get a lot of, what do you do when you're sick? Like, I've gotten those in my question boxes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I go to the gym. And I've gotten the you don't want to get other people sick. I'm like, yo, are you adulting? Like, do you know how many people are going to the grocery store with a cold? Like, come on. I'm not coughing on people. I'm covering my mouth, but like,
My
I'm going.
God, you're a nurse. You got the good sense to know if you need to stay your behind home or not. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you have to assess how you feel. I feel like, and I also feel like too, like, don't make this more difficult than what it needs to be. You know your body. If you have a fever, don't go to the gym. You know
Right.
what I
Like,
mean? Like,
you
if
might
you're
need to
vomiting,
recover. But like,
yeah, don't go to the
honestly,
gym.
and you know what? This is probably the nurse side of me because nurses are not good patients. Um, if I have a fever, I need to be sick enough that I'm concerned about the fever because fevers have a job and it's to kill the bacteria and the
That's true.
viruses. So if I feel like I can go to the gym and get my workout done, and I'm talking like, yeah, I feel kind of crappy, but is this gonna change? Like, am I gonna lay on the couch all day? Absolutely not. Like, I think I had the flu 2 years ago. I was out one day. And I felt like I had the flu. But I think if you are someone who has a sniffle and is out like a man cold,
Yeah,
girlfriend, that's not going to work.
yeah,
Um, so, like, if you are ill, sure, don't go. And ultimately, you are in charge of yourself. If you feel like you shouldn't go, don't go. But
right.
also, that comes with you're losing days. And that's how I think about it. And that's how a lot of competitors think about it at the higher level is
Hmm.
like it comes down to everyone's working who's working harder. Because
Yeah.
everyone's got the genetics for the most part,
Yeah.
and everyone has the same amount of time, and
Hmm.
everyone has the control over their own schedule of what they prioritize and what they don't. So are you falling behind or are you moving forward? And I think that that's going to sound extreme. This is a freaking extreme sport. You don't get to the Olympia by like, "Oh, I don't feel like going today." Like,
Yeah.
girlfriend, not going to work.
Well, you said two very important words, and I want you guys to make sure that you heard that because, again, I know some people are going to take this and be like, oh my gosh, that's extreme. This is that high level. We're talking high level. If you're not high level, if you don't have the desire to be high level, that is okay. But this very specific conversation is high level. So you have to understand, yeah, okay, we both have goals. We're trying to hit very specific goals. And we understand that, hey, if you slip up on this, that means guess what? Someone else is going to be ahead of you. Hey, if you don't eat your food, someone else is going to be ahead of you. Like this is how this game works. Like if you're saying you want to be a top pro, there's no slacking. You can't miss. There have been times where I had a migraine, but guess what? Going to the gym. There was one time when I didn't go, and the only reason why I didn't go was because my stomach was so upset and I kept running to the bathroom. And I was like, I'm not going to be running back and forth to the bathroom in the middle of training. Like, that's just, that's not happening. But I think you guys have to use your own discretion. And this isn't to judge you, but at the end of the day, y'all know I'm a huge component on you got to do what's best for you. If you're in the middle of prep and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't feel like going today, guess what? Go because you're in the middle of prep, like, and that's the thing too. It's just kind of like, yes, do we all need some downtime eventually? Absolutely, because you can't just be this crazy psychotic person being on all the time. We're not robots. But what you also need to understand is if you're in prep, there's non-negotiables. Or if you're in the off season and you're saying you have these high level goals, well, guess what? There's no non-negotiables there either.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say like you can compete at the amateur level, not have any desire to go pro, do this as a
Yes,
hobby, want to improve each
absolutely.
whatever time that you compete, whether it's once a year, every other year. And if that's your goals, that is completely fine. And this conversation's not for you.
No.
But if you think you are going to earn your pro card in one season, some people do. They work very, very hard,
Yeah.
um, or step on the Olympia stage at some point, you got to be realistic about what it's going to take to get there. And some, it's not realistic to even get there at all. And that's also a crappy point to make that the longer I've been in it, the more that I realize that, and it's sucky, especially if it's like you realize it for people that you know,
Yeah.
and like know that they bust tail, and there's people that are better bodybuilders than me on paper and won't be to the level that I am, and that's very sucky but also very
Yeah.
true. Not to say that I'm the highest level, but I've been to the Olympia. There, I'm at to a point where I'm like, this is freaking cool.
Yeah.
Um, and to know that like only hard work won't get you there
Mhm.
is a sad thing, but true thing to say. But also know that only genetics will not get you there either. The hard work
God,
has
no.
to be there in order for even to even be possible. The hard work and like discipline and dedication.
Yeah.
Because think about like the average person population. They think what we do is crazy. And then it's cool to have like morphed because y'all, when I started, I was doing one prep just to see what my husband was doing. That was it. Was not going to do it again. The entire prep, I said, I am never doing this again. There was no thought of turning pro. I was like, that sounds like a terrible life. That's not something that I want. And at some point, my brain changed, and I was like, actually, I do really like this. Like, I could do this
Mhm.
for a long time, and I have
Mhm.
been. Um, so I have been on both sides of that pendulum. Um, and it's kind of cool to see it morph and have the people around you see it morph too. Because at some point it becomes normal for most of the people around you. Like they see you do it day in and day out. Um, if you find yourself 4 years in and your family is like, so you can eat normal again now,
Yeah.
that might be a you thing. Because why
Hmm.
do they think 4 years later after your show you can eat normal again? Have you
Yeah.
been doing that? You know, like at some point it either becomes normal to you and then it's normal to your close people around you because that's what you do. Just
Hmm.
like if you have a friend who is in the NFL, football is what he does, you know?
Right.
You are the bodybuilder. Unless you
Hmm.
do it part-time. Then it's like, are you doing it or are you not doing it?
Right. Yeah. Like I was talking to Lo a few days ago and I was just telling him how I was just like really upset about just like my physique. He's like, "What are you talking about? You look great." I was like, "No, that's not it." And listen, I get it. Life happens sometimes. I was just like, "I've lost 2 months of progress." He was like, "What?" I said, "I lost 2 months of progress." I said, "We went through some things. December, I was really down bad. January, we were still working through some stuff. So now, okay, here we are into February. I'm finally, okay, back into my groove." And I'm just kind of like, crap. I've lost 2 months of progress. Someone from the outside looking in, or someone who's a newer athlete, would be like, "Oh no, you're fine. You look great." No, from a high level standpoint, that's not good. And so for me, I understand that. And so when it comes to me thinking about, well, shoot, what is this season going to look like for me? With me already understanding I've lost 2 months of progress, I need to compete later and I need to get in here and crush it and leave no stone left unturned. Because if I'm trying to hit a specific goal, well, guess what? We can't afford to F around anymore because we've already lost 2 months of progress. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because that's high level thinking. That's high
Yep.
level bodybuilding. I feel like that's something that I would have never thought about as an amateur. Just to be like, oh, but life happened. It's fine. It's like, no, it's not fine. I mean, I guess my saving grace is I'm not someone that has to build a house from the ground up. So, okay, cool. But I know there are certain areas that I really, really, really could have used that 2 months of really targeting. But guess what? Life happened. That's something that I have to deal with. And so I have to plan appropriately. So things like that, I feel, are conversations that aren't had to athletes in regards to what does it mean to be a top pro or competing at a high level.
Yeah. And I think I like that you said that's high level thinking. I haven't lost 2 months personally, but I have like when my grandma was very sick at the end of her life, there
Mhm.
was like I spent 5 days away from home. I have to go without food. I did not have food. Um, like I had money, I could buy whatever I needed, but I didn't
Right.
have food cooked and I didn't have time to go to the store to get the kind of food that we eat, right?
Mhm.
So there were like 3 days of plus stress and like I needed to be there. I needed to explain things. I needed to like translate what hospice is saying. Like everyone looks to you and you're a medical person in the family. If you're medical, you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I just didn't eat. I'm like, there's no food in this house that's on my plan. And I'm in
Yeah.
prep for the Arnold and I don't want to eat bad food. And so I'm just
Yeah.
not going to eat.
And
You shouldn't
stressed.
fast for 3 days.
No,
Like,
that's not good
like
either.
I had my work bag, so I had that, the emergency protein that I have in my
Mhm.
bag. I had those.
Mhm.
And then I'd eat like bananas. I'm like, where am I gonna get my carbs? Like I scavenged,
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, after I got through that, I'm like, all right, how can I most efficiently make the best of the time that I have left? Because I lost these days or weeks. Like it's
Right.
gone, can't get it back. You can't make up for
Mhm.
it. You can just keep moving forward. So like now I want to be even more precise if that's possible than what I usually am because I've lost
Right.
this time. And that comes with at that point, like during all of that stress, even it's life. Yes, life is happening and we say that. The mindset doesn't go away. Like it
Right.
does not. So it's still okay. I can't go to the gym today. So how am I arranging the rest of my week?
Mm-hmm.
Can't go today. It's not an option. I still have to go. I'm not going to skip a whole week if I can help it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow comes, okay, still can't go today. Gotta reassess, you know? So like sometimes it's hour by hour, day by day in situations of like something that's not expected in life that you have to handle.
Right.
But you're still in the back of your mind, where can I go? And some people would call that disordered thinking and disordered eating and disordered whatever. In bodybuilding at the high level, that's what
High
it
level.
is.
That 100%.
So, and
It's high level.
some people have trouble like retiring. If you ask retired bodybuilders later, they're like, yeah,
Mm,
I had these problems, but I also had these benefits. And I think that like a high level
mm-hmm.
athlete also thinks in that regard too, because it is give and take and it is
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Some things are detrimental. Prepping is not healthy. What are you gaining in the process? If the benefits
Mm-hmm.
don't outweigh the negatives for you, you shouldn't be competing at the high level. It's not for you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I had to do. I had talked about, like, this is something that I had been sitting on for a while, just like, crap, I lost 2 months. But then, like, I had to switch my mindset. And if you watch, like, I talked about it briefly on my YouTube channel, but I was just kind of like, okay, you lost 2 months, but guess what? Realistically, I needed some rest. And that's okay too. And so now I'm just kind of like, you lost 2 months, you're behind, but guess what? On the flip side of that, you're rested and ready to go. So now I know when this week I've been on it for the past week I've been on it. Whenever we start prep, everything will be good. So it's one of those situations where, like you said, the past is the past. You can't harp on it either, because I know I am someone, this is just how my mind works. I would be like, crap, I've lost 2 months, this isn't good, what am I going to do? Like, I would stress myself out so bad about it. But then once I kind of switched my mindset, that showed, okay, well, first of all, that's just more growth and maturity in your pro career, because you're not harping on it. You're just jumping on it, getting right back in it. It's kind of like how when some girls eat off plan, they're like, oh, well, I had that. So now I'm just going to have this and I'm going to have that. No, 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 no. You don't do that. You had something that's in the past, just jump back on it. That's the mindset now. Just jump back on it. And that's also, again, high level thinking, because some people would say, oh, you know what? Screw it. I've screwed my whole season. Let me just F off, not train, not do anything, and that's not going to ultimately get you to the goal if you want to be a high level athlete.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see. I think that was all I had.
Yeah, I feel like that's the main, like the biggest thing is the mindset and like what
Yeah.
is your brain thinking and how is it processing things. There's two different ways of thinking about things. It's either am I getting better or are you thinking about comfort? Because most of it's discomfort, even show days discomfort. Like you're
Oh my
dehydrated
God.
for the most part.
Should is
Most
the most
competitors are not drinking
discomfort.
water all day. Um,
Yeah.
there's there's like for me just the anticipation anxiety, not even like I don't consider it bad anxiety, but I do consider it like it's stress in the sense of I just want to go. Like I just want to
Mm-hmm.
get up there. Whereas for other people it's like no, I can we got 2 more hours, good, because I just want to sit here because I'm not ready to go yet.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want
Yeah.
to get on that. I'm like that's not my favorite part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um so like the celebration after is cool, and then your brain at that level is still like all right, like wake up, do my cardio because it feels weird to not move that next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right back to it. So it's like if you can't find positives in the lifestyle, it's not for you, y'all. And
Yeah.
that's okay. If you want to do it sometimes, but you also want the freedom of being like a quote unquote normal person, that's
Fine.
also fine. But like recognize where you are on that like pendulum, I guess, or
Mm-hmm.
scale. Um, and be realistic with yourself. There are pros who never on paper should have turned pro, but they worked hard enough that they did. And um, that can be you. It might take you 2 times as long as the person that you like idolize. And that's why we say don't compare yourself because there's only like you're not the same person. Um, but it's also, I think, why, like, I know when I was an amateur and it like ever dawned on me like, oh, maybe I could turn pro in this. Like maybe I could be a good pro. Once I realized that might be potential, then I'm like looking up to the people that I'm shooting for. Like the people that are at the level that I'm trying to reach, I'm like looking
Yeah.
up to those people. But I also noticed through that journey that there's not a lot of those people also showing you like normal life, because like normal life is going on. You can't we're
Yeah.
people, we have
Yeah.
to pay bills, everyone has to pay bills and all that. So it's
Mhm.
like that's why I try to show you guys like, yeah, I'm up at 3:30. Once check-ins start on work days, I'm up at 3 because I enjoy my morning time and I don't want to change that personally.
Mhm.
So I get up earlier. So yeah, it looks like a psychotic time to wake up, to be up in at work until 7 p.m. and then come home and do more cardio and go to bed. But that's the
Mhm.
reality of it. So it's
Yep.
like there's sucky parts. Am I complaining to you about it? No. Um, could I? Sure. So I mean I vent to Amber. I don't put it on
Yeah.
wide open social media because I don't want you to think that my life sucks. Because
Yeah.
ultimately I signed up for it. Like
Yeah.
I'm here like, yeah, give me 2 hours of cardio a day if that's what it
Mhm.
takes. And there's other people who are like, if you and this is not to call anyone out, but like messaging me, I'm 4 weeks out. My coach has me doing an hour and a half of cardio every day. Is this normal?
Mhm.
And a lot of times I don't get messages back because I'm like, girlfriend, you're 4 weeks out. Are you lean enough? No. So you're doing a lot of cardio.
Yeah. That straight up.
Calories in, calories out. We got to get the fat off. Like
That's
that
it.
is the sport. So it sounds crazy, but it kind of is, and that's
It
what we
is.
like.
That's what I was going to say. It's that if it sounds crazy to you, it's absolutely because it is. And we're not saying this is normal or that everyone should do it. You shouldn't. Like, I know for me, when I realized, okay, I am coming into this high level, I'll never forget it. I had texted Alexis one time. It was last season, just going over some things because new levels, new devils. You start doing things you've maybe never had to do before. And I was just feeling like dog crap. And she told me, she said, hey, you're reaching a level of leanness and a level of discomfort that you have never felt before. However, comma, this is what it is. And I was just kind of like, big gulp, okay, here we go. Because that's what I signed up for. And I was so grateful that she could remove our friendship from the equation and say, hey, this is the dark side. Keep going.
Yeah, and it's helpful, and that's why we say make friends,
Mm-hmm.
like social media friends, make them, because nobody else gets this sport. So if you complain to your coworkers, they're gonna be like, yeah, no, that's crazy. You deserve a day off.
It is crazy.
Whereas a lot of times you need the opposite of someone being like, you gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. Like
That's it.
that's the decision. That's the option. Do it and get better, or do
Mm-hmm.
it or don't do it and stay where you're at or decline. So, um, I want to get better.
Yeah.
And there's different approaches that will go over like, um, I actually wrote down a couple new things that I will say
Yeah.
on here at the end. But like there's also new approaches that we'll be taking, and I'll go over that a little bit like further in the future of like how this prep is going to go. Um, but you gotta keep going, and you gotta see what works and see what doesn't work, and like implement the things that do work and keep it chugging.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you're gonna stay where you're at and other people are getting better, and that's not what we like to do in this sport. um you got anything else?
No, that was it. That was it. That was good.
All right, one of my new things is I got a walking pad. Remember last time I
Yes.
said Nelson was like, we're gonna crank this and get it moving fast? He wasn't joking. So all my food's gone bye-bye. My abs are showing up quickly, which I'm not complaining about.
Yeah.
But my cardio is not bad, but my step count has been cranked up to where I need to like go on. It's 10,000 steps.
Okay.
So for me, especially like with the season cranking up in like doing posing sessions and stuff, this is where I'm at. If you're my posing girl, this is the room, and this is where I sit, and I get up and I show you a position, like I demonstrate something, and then I sit back down and I watch you. So
Mhm.
I move less during the days, especially if I'm not at work. So I just have to be conscious of moving. Olivia got a walking pad. She also got a standing desk because she's been working from
Okay.
home, and that like I've been kind of eyeballing them. I've asked some of you guys about them. But Olivia got one and she's been getting her steps easy, and it's like she walks slow while she's doing work. I've
Yeah.
started coaching. I can do that while I'm on the computer. So I'm going to try it out
Yep.
tonight because I have some plans to update. So I'm excited about that, especially because it's still Virginia weather, and it's like it was 29 degrees on Saturday, and today is 57 right now, and I didn't wear a jacket. Like, I put a hoodie on, I got outside, and I was like, oh no, I can't wear this. Um,
Stupid.
so, like, some days I can go on a walk outside, but it's still back and forth, and it's only still February. So, it's going to be like that for a while, but the steps are
Mhm.
there, and I need to get them done. So, I will let you know how the walking pad goes. And then we have, when we go on this Arnold trip, Amber and I are going to vlog, and then we're going to show you kind of like our two different points of view. But I was just like thinking in the back of my brain, we have two girls in prep and a makeup artist going in this one vehicle. So Olivia was messaging me earlier. We're going to take her car. I'm going to drive. She offered to
Yeah.
take her car, and I was like, no, because I don't like to ride. I get car sick. But she was like, you can drive my car. She also has heated seats in the back of her car because she's bougie, and I don't have that in mine. And she wants her butt warm the whole time because she's cold.
I'll
And she'll be
take
like,
it.
well, I don't know if she said how many weeks she's out. She's close to her show. She's very
She's
lean,
close.
and she wants a warm butt because Ohio's even colder than Virginia.
Yes.
So we are going to be getting all of our food for Thursday through Sunday, all of our clothing bags for two girls in prep and Amber, Amber's makeup bag, Amber's makeup chair, um, Olivia's travel bike because we'll be in
Oh,
an Airbnb.
shoot.
That's why we're taking the big car. We're gonna make it work. It's all gonna go in. Her bike is one of those fold up ones, so it's better than
Okay.
mine going in a car. Um, but that'll be
I
fun.
mean,
Like we're gonna have
but
to do like a time lapse or something of packing this vehicle.
just the food for all of us alone.
Yeah, and like when Olivia gets here, depending on what she has, it might be more beneficial to just like put it all in one cooler since we'll be at the same Airbnb. We'll see how we need to shimmy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it'll be quite interesting. So like I'll put some stuff on my stories just because it'll be comical. But
Yeah.
um the stay tuned for our vlogs on that. Also I'm trying to vlog this prep. I haven't been the best about it. I'm gonna be better about like just getting clips of stuff. But I don't really know what you guys want to see. So you can message me. I don't care. Let me know how somehow, whatever way, comment down below here. What you want to see about our preps because Amber's gonna be prepping soon too. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm doing the same thing every day, and I know people do that on YouTube, but I'm like, how
Mhm.
many times can I show you that I'm putting lemon juice in my water?
But do you know what, Alexis? It sounds monotonous, but here's the thing: people are curious on what an Olympian's life looks like behind the scenes. So it might sound feel repetitive to you, but you got to understand a lot of people watch our content while they're going through cardio. So sometimes it's not even about the, oh, what am I doing? It's just a matter of feeling like I'm hanging out with someone who is at a level that I want to be at, or I'm hanging out with someone who's doing exactly what I'm doing, and it just makes me feel better. Like honestly, like whenever I'm doing cardio, that's when I tend to watch vlogs. I don't care. I'll watch any athlete's vlog, like NPC, IFBB. I'll watch guys like I don't care. But sometimes it's just the comfort of just watching someone who is doing the exact same thing that you're doing. So I said all that to say,
Yeah.
don't think too much about it. Just sometimes it's like, hey, I'm doing the same thing, but we might be having a different conversation, or I might feel crazy today. Like you never know.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm working on it, y'all.
She'll get it.
Maybe I'll be a influencer one day.
you're not. You're an IFBB Wellness Pro Olympian. You're not an influencer, and that's no shade to influencers. All right, y'all. So that's going to wrap up today's episode. Hit up Alexis for your posing. I sent in my posing video today for the first time, and yeah,
It
do
was not
that.
bad.
Don't. It wasn't bad, but it was just I felt like a deer in headlights, but it's fine. Send in your increase to her for lifestyle coaching, prep, posing. I've got stage glam for Charlotte. It's already booked. And then we're going to be rolling into national shows soon, which is insane. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I'll
So,
be I'll be at Junior Nationals, I think. Um, that's about as far as my brain got.
yeah,
Because I don't know where
that's
my show's at, so I don't. I haven't committed to too many things. 'Cause I don't know exactly
mm-hmm.
when my show is.
I put my whole I had my whole schedule organized because my plan was to compete at Charlotte Pro, but obviously we know that's not happening. So now I'm like, oh shoot. So I'm just trying to redo everything. However, of course, we will update you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat with you next week.
Bye, guys.